Alrighty, hey there, and welcome to Phlearn Live. My name is Aaron Nace. I am the founder of Phlearn, and I'm so excited to share this moment with you for the next hour. We've got a really fun live course today. So let us know in the chat where you guys are joining us from. We got some super exciting lessons for you today. So we're going to be starting with smart objects. We're going to show you how to select and refine your subjects. We're going to show you how to use clipping masks in some amazing ways to basically cut out your subject and make sure they're perfect on a new background. We're going to show you how to use adjustment layers, how to use layer masks, and how to use placed links. So we have so many fun things to learn today. And then tomorrow we're going to be doing AI. So be sure you stick around for both days so you can learn all kinds of wonderful things in Photoshop. I'm so excited. So if you have any questions during today's chat or during today's class, just go ahead and leave them in the chat and we're going to basically have those sent to me so I can answer your questions. All right, I'm so excited to be joining you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. Alrighty, here we go. So we're starting off, by the way, you can download all of these sample images right into Photoshop. Just follow the link. It's in the stream and in the description for the stream as well. So you guys can actually follow along if you want to. Okay, so our first lesson, this is going to be on smart objects. Now we're going to talk about the benefits of smart objects. Basically, there are two main benefits of a smart object. The first main benefit is that you can scale your image. You can make it as large or as small as you want, and you won't lose any resolution. Okay, you can't get necessarily bigger than the original, but you can get it really small and then back to original size. Also, it basically stores a file inside of your Photoshop file that you can edit and update the contents of. So we're gonna show you how to do both of those right now. Okay, so jumping in here in Photoshop, basically what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this slogan here. So you can see this is our slogan image. I'm just gonna move it directly into Photoshop and I'm gonna click F for full screen, and let's go ahead and zoom in on this. Okay, now to start off with, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and make a copy of this layer. So I'm gonna show you the differences between a smart object and a regular layer. Okay, so let's hit Control or Command J to make a copy. Now on the original layer, let's go ahead and click on the original layer, and we're gonna go to Layer, and then down here to Smart Objects, and we're gonna go to Convert to Smart Object, okay? So this is now gonna be a smart object, and you can see a smart object icon right here in your layer thumbnail. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna make this layer invisible. We're gonna start off with this first layer here that is not a smart object. So this is a regular layer. And what we're gonna do is we're going to resize it and show you how it will lose resolution if you scale it small and then scale it large again. But with a smart object, you still get 100% of the resolution. Okay, so let's go ahead with this regular object now. I'm gonna hit Control or Command T for transform. Now here where we see width and height, we're just gonna type in like 2, it'll get down to like 2%, okay? So there we go, 2%, you can see it's really, really small. I'm gonna hit enter, and as we can see, it's tiny, tiny, tiny right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. We're just gonna try to get it about the size that it was before, so we're just gonna go ahead and scale it back up, and you're gonna see I'm having to really, really, really scale it in, and I'm gonna hit enter. And you can see I've lost a lot of resolution. And because when we applied that transformation of scaling it down, what it did is it like applied that to the pixels, and then we scaled it back up, and it had to like reinterpret that from the pixels. So if you're gonna be doing any type of intense scaling in Photoshop, it's a really great idea to use a smart object first, because you'll be able to get all your resolution back. Okay, so remember, again, this is a regular layer that's been scaled. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing with our smart object. So this layer, this is the one where we went to Layer, down to Smart Object, and then over to Convert to Smart Object, okay? And as you can see, it has the Smart Object icon. So let's go ahead and scale this one. I'm gonna hit Control or Command T for transform, and here we're gonna do the same, where it says width and height. I'm just gonna type in 2, so we see it's 2% of the original size, and hit enter. Okay, so it's the exact same transformation, 2% of the original size, but now let's go ahead and scale it back up again. I'm gonna hit Control or Command T for transform one more time. And now, here where we see the transform, it actually has that 2% saved. So I can just go over here and type in 100 and hit enter. There we go. And I'm back to transforming it to 100% of the original size. And we can see we didn't lose any resolution at all. So a smart object is a really great way. Anytime you have to do any type of transformation, smart object is a fantastic way to get that done. Okay, now let's go ahead and show you a few more benefits with smart objects. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out of full screen here. We can just close this original layer down. Okay, now with a smart object, you can see I've created my smart object. Let's just go ahead and double click and call that smart object. Perfect. So this is a smart object. Now with this smart object, if I double click right here on the layer thumbnail, it actually just opens up that smart object in a new window. And you can see this is actually a Photoshop document. That stands for PSB, Photoshop Big Document. So anything that I do inside of this document is gonna update on this original one, which is super cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut this out of the background. I'm gonna start by using a levels adjustment because we can see this color is not pure black and this color is not pure white. So let's go ahead and use the levels adjustment to make it pure black and white. It's gonna make it easier to cut out. Okay, let's hit Controller Command L for our levels. There we go. And I'm gonna grab our white eyedropper and then click here on the background to make sure that's pure white. And then we're gonna grab the black eyedropper and then click here on the color, on the text here to make sure that's pure black and hit OK. Fantastic. Okay, so now we can see we have pure white and pure black. I'm ready to go ahead and select this black color range. Because again, what I wanna do is basically just cut this out from the background. Alrighty, so check this out. We're gonna go to select and then down here to color range. So select color range, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and use my eyedropper here. We're gonna go ahead and click on the text, and then our fuzziness slider right here, we wanna bring that almost all the way up to the very top. It's just gonna make sure it selects all of the color range that we clicked on, basically selecting out that logo. All right, perfect. So it's selected the logo. You can see here it is selected on this layer. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna create a new layer in my new layer icon, so a new blank layer. And we're gonna go to edit and then down here to fill. There we go. And I'm just gonna go ahead and tell this to fill with, we'll just say fill with black for now. You can choose any color, of course. You can choose a specific color. You know what? I'm gonna just choose a specific color just so you can see it a little bit better. Let's just choose like this light blue color and hit OK. There we go. Now we're gonna go ahead and deselect. You can hit Controller Command D to deselect, or just click on deselect right over here. Okay, looking really good. So now I have the logo, and then I have my original layer. So I'm just gonna turn my original layer invisible for now, and I still have my logo that's cut out there. Okay, now if you remember this layer 1.psb, I got to that by double clicking on my smart object. So I brought in this like logo here as a regular JPEG. I turned it into a smart object, and then I double clicked on the smart object itself, and it opened it up in a new Photoshop window as its own Photoshop document. So check this out. This is super cool. If I just go ahead and save this document, Controller Command S to save this, you can see it automatically updates on this image. Okay, so anything that I do inside of this document will automatically update on my actual document where I placed it. So those are some of the main benefits of smart objects, is that you can edit like an object within an object. It's kind of like you have a Photoshop document inside of another Photoshop document. Okay, now check this out. This is really cool. I'm just gonna go ahead and close this for now. We don't need it open. So we can see I can continue to work with this smart object just like it was a regular layer. So I wanna go ahead and see if I can put this behind our subject. So I'm gonna just make this layer invisible real quick by clicking on this eyeball here. We're gonna go to our background layer, and I'm gonna go to select subject, okay? Which is gonna go ahead and select the subjects of this image. And then let's go ahead and turn this layer back on. I'm gonna click on my layer mask icon. So let's go ahead and click on our layer mask, which just basically defines where this smart object is gonna be visible. Now, this happens a lot when you use layer masks. Basically, it's the opposite of what you want. So if that happens, simply click here on your layer mask and hit Controller Command I to invert that layer mask. Okay, so as we can see, we've basically placing that behind our subjects. Now, let's go ahead and we're gonna kind of take this up a notch. We're gonna start moving some things around, and I'm gonna replace this graphic all using smart objects. Really, really cool. Okay, so I have my layer and my layer mask right now. But check this out. If I go ahead and try to move my layer, let's grab our move tool here in Photoshop. If I grab my move tool and try to move this, okay, what's happening is you can see that the layer and the layer mask are moving at the same time. So the layer and the mask are moving at the same time. So I'm destroying the illusion that this text is behind our subject. But there's a really easy way out of this. All you have to do right here where you see your layer and your layer mask, just click on this chain link right between them. So let's go ahead and click there. that unlinks the layer and the layer mask. You can see I can hover over each and kind of choose each of these. Okay, let's go ahead and choose the layer, and then I can move the layer around, and what's happening is the layer mask is staying in the same place, and that is what's giving me the illusion that this text continues to stay behind my subject no matter where I put it. So let's go ahead and try it out there. All right, that's looking really cool. So we have this escape text. Now let's say we want to take this even farther. Like I want to do maybe a stroke, a line around this text, like some layer effects, right? So let's go to this layer here, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to layer, and then we're gonna go down to where we see our effects. There we go, layer style, okay? And we're gonna go to stroke. So I just wanna add a stroke right around this layer, and we'll just go ahead and move this up so I can see what I'm doing. Now a stroke basically just adds like an outline right around there. You can change your size here of the stroke. Let's go ahead and bring it right about there. And then I can change my color. Now, one of the things that I love to do is click on your color, and of course I can just choose my color here. You know, I can choose any one of these colors in the color picker, and you can see it here. But also, if I move out of this dialog, you can see I actually now have an eyedropper. So I can use the eyedroppers to eyedrop around my image, and I can grab colors from the actual image itself, which I think is really fun and a great way to like tie in the image with the graphics. All right, let's hit OK there, and you can see now the stroke color I just grabbed from these mountains. Now, let's say I want to do a color overlay with this text as well. So we're going to go right over here to where it says color overlay. Let's just turn that on, okay? We're going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to move this off to the left so we can see it a little bit better. But here where we have this color, let's go ahead and click on our color, and then I can just kind of move my eyedropper tool around here so I can actually choose some of the colors of my actual image. And I like this. This is looking really good. So just kind of like this light, almost a white color, but we're just grabbing it from our image itself. Alrighty, let's hit OK. Now, this is looking really, really good. There's just one thing that I kind of want to highlight. Let's go ahead and zoom in. You guys might have had this happen before, where like if you've added a stroke to your image, okay, and then you have a layer mask on it, sometimes your layer mask is gonna look a little bit weird. Like it's gonna mask that area out, but then you still have the stroke right there, and it can look a little bit off, okay? So if you're ever using a layer mask with layer effects, there's a great way to make sure that this looks a lot better. Okay, so here's what we need to do. I'll just make sure everything is visible so you can see it, okay? We're gonna go to our blending options right over here. Again, I'm still in my layer style, okay? So we're going to our blending options, and then right over here, there's an option that says layer mask hides effects. So let's go ahead and check that on. And now you can see, look at this, absolutely perfect with our layer effects. So if this is unchecked, which it will be by default, you might get these weird effects with like strokes and things like that. So all you have to do is right over here, just click on layer mask hides effects, and look at this, it's now perfect. All right, how cool is that? Let's hit OK, and we can see our effect looks really, really good. So we have this escape text and everything's looking great. Now, earlier, we're still talking about smart objects. So all this has been done with a smart object. Now, earlier we talked about the ability to actually replace the contents of a smart object as well. And that's what we're gonna do now. So remember, we started with a smart object showing you how you could scale it large and small and not lose any resolution. Now what we're gonna do is actually replace the contents of this smart object, and it's gonna keep everything else that we've done. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out a full screen. There we go. And what we're gonna do again is I'm just gonna double click right here on my smart object. So let's double click right there. Okay, and I'm back to this escape graphic that we made before. Remember, we just started with this and then we made this escape graphic. So what we're gonna do is I actually have a new graphic here. There we go. I have this other graphic and this one just says go explore. So I'm just gonna bring that one in. Okay, so I brought this go explore, and it's in the exact same smart object as my escape graphic. So let's go ahead and cut this out of its background the same exact way we did the last one, okay? Now let's hit Controller Command L for our levels, okay? We're gonna make sure our black point is set right here on our graphic, and our white point is set here on our background. There we go, okay. Now let's go ahead and select this black. So we're gonna go to Select, and we're gonna go down to color range. Select color range, and then we're just gonna make sure we click there on the actual logo itself. Your selection preview might say none, in which case you won't see it here in your graphic. You only see it here in your little preview. But I like to go ahead and say grayscale and click right here on this graphic. Alrighty, let's hit OK there. And now we're going to go to edit, and we're going to go down to fill, and we're just going to choose to fill with this same color, just like we did before. All right, fantastic. There we go. And I want to do that on a new layer. So edit, and then down to fill, and we're just going to fill with that color on a new layer so I can make this invisible. Okay, so check out what we have now. We're still inside of the exact same smart object, but now I have two different options for my graphic. I have this Go Explore, and I have my original graphic that just says Escape. So let's just turn the Go Explore graphic on now. And check this out. This is so cool. So all I have to do now is save this smart object. So I'll hit Control or Command S to save this. And look at this. It automatically updates here in my other image. You can see it updates. The layer mask is still perfectly intact. Okay, the stroke and the color overlay is perfectly intact. I can still move this around just like I did before. Okay, we can move it to make sure it's in the exact right place. My layer mask is still intact. Everything else looks good. And if I want to, I can load in as many different graphics as I want right here. And then I can just kind of bring them in to make sure like whatever I put in here works really, really well. So this is such a fantastic way. Like if you're kind of like working on and you want to like, you know, have a few different like designs and you're not sure which design you want to put in there, a smart object is an amazing container that will contain all of your designs that you can switch through them in that smart object. And then when you're ready, all you have to do is save it. It'll automatically update in your final image. And the coolest part of all is that everything that you do, including all your effects and your layer masks, everything is going to be retained perfectly within that smart object. Isn't that amazing? I absolutely love smart objects. All right, so we are ready to move on to our next topic. All right, let's go ahead and put this to full screen. So our next topic here, and guys, be sure to ask questions. I love answering questions in these live streams. So our next topic, we're going to be doing a selection, and we're gonna show you the perfect way to cut your subject out from the background. We're gonna show you how to use clipping masks and make sure that even around hair, when normally you would see some fringing and things like that, it's gonna be perfectly cut out. All right, let's go ahead and show you how to do it. Okay, so we're jumping back here into Photoshop. There we go. Let's go ahead and open up our image. Fantastic. I'm just going to click and drag this. Don't forget, you can download these. Just follow the link in the chat and in the description. Okay, fantastic. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start by selecting out our subject. So we have our background. Let's go to select subject right here. Okay, and then what I want to do is simply click on my layer mask icon. I can do that right over here in my contextual taskbar, or I can click here on my layer mask. So let's go ahead and click on our layer mask. Fantastic. So we have our subject cut out from the background. Now, check this out. The next thing we're gonna do is create like a darker color background behind our subject. So let's go to layer, down to new fill layer, and we're gonna go to solid color, okay? There we go. And then let's just choose like a dark, like a kind of a deep, there we go, something like this. Yeah, kind of like a brownish red. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead and put that behind our subject. Okay, so now what we can see here is what happens when you cut your subject out from the background, right? You're cutting your subject out from the background. Everything looks good, except now when I go to put them on a darker color background, I'm still seeing some of the fringing left over from the original background. Has anyone experienced this? This is such a common issue that happens when you're cutting people out of the background. So we're gonna show you how to really accurately cut this person out and make sure that like all their edges look 100% perfect. And we're gonna make sure that the hair looks 100% perfect, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start off with clicking on our layer mask, okay? Let's start by clicking on the layer mask, okay? And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to select, there we go, and we're gonna go to select and mask. Okay, select and mask. Now what I wanna do is I wanna actually break this up into two different selected masks. The first one is gonna be just for the body. So I'm gonna make sure I have a perfect outline for the body. And then we're gonna come back into selected mask and use it for the hair. Okay, so right over here on the right-hand side, we're gonna go to global refinements, and I'm gonna bring up where it says feathering. We're gonna go ahead and feather that edge considerably. And this just kind of smooths everything out, okay? Next, we're gonna bring up our contrast, and I'm gonna go ahead and drag the edge in just a little bit, okay? So you wanna make sure you use feathering, there we go, and contrast, fantastic. And then we can shift our edge in and out until we have the perfect selection. Now, this is gonna be really great for like the body and the cheeks and the shirt and things like that. It's gonna look really, really good. And then we're gonna do the hair separately. So let's click where it says show original. So here you can see the before where it's like really kind of like, almost like gritty. It's like a very like, it looks like artifacts, you know? And here I can see a little bit of the background there as well. But here where I go to the after, now we can see it's really nice and smooth. We have a beautiful cutout and it looks way better. So let's go ahead and hit OK. All right, now keep in mind what we just said. That's gonna work perfect for the body, but with the hair, it's not gonna look good at all. So you have to do it twice, okay? So the first time is always gonna be with the body, your hard edges, and the second time is gonna be with the hair. Okay, so let's go ahead and click back on the layer mask. Now we're gonna go to, again, select, and we're gonna go to select and mask, okay? And now this is the time for the hair. And what we wanna do is we wanna use this tool right here. This is the Refine Edge Brush tool, okay? And all you have to do is paint right over here towards the edge of the hair. So go ahead and just paint right over here towards the edge of the hair. And you're gonna see you'll be able to bring back all that nice, beautiful detail there with the hair, okay? There we go. Let's go ahead and bring that back. And I'm just painting right over here. And as I paint, it's gonna find the edge of the hair and it's gonna bring all that detail back for me. So it's really, really, really helpful. Just a super great way to get back all that hair detail that we would have lost otherwise, okay? There we go, and we're just gonna kind of paint this in to get that hair detail back there as well. All right, there we go, and we're just gonna paint all the way down there and get all this really, really nice detail back. So the first selected mask, that was basically just gonna be for the body outline, and now here we're gonna do the hair. All right, let's go ahead and hit OK. Now you may look at this and think, okay, well, we still have this fringing issue, right? We still have the issue where like I'm still seeing like the light color. Remember, she was originally on this light colored background, but now we're putting her on a dark background and we're still seeing some of this color. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use something called a clipping mask. And this clipping mask is going to allow us to basically paint black over top of this and only have it show up where the hair is. Okay, so first we're gonna go ahead and show you how to use a clipping mask. We're gonna create a new layer. I'm gonna use my brush tool. Okay, let's go ahead and just grab a color that we can see really well. And with our brush tool, what we're gonna do is just kind of like paint right over top of our subject. So as I paint over my subject, you can see it's just visible everywhere. But if I make this layer a clipping mask, it's gonna only show up where my subject is visible. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna go to layer. We're gonna go down here to create clipping mask. There we go. Now, if I use my move tool, we can see that this blue layer that I made is only showing up where my subject is, including over top of the hair, including all these little selections and things like that. It's only gonna show up where my subject's showing up, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and unclip that, and we can see it's right back to normal. So clipped, it's only visible where my subject is. You can see it pushes the layer over to the right, and we have a little down arrow pointing to our layer that it's gonna be clipped to. And I unclip it and it just becomes a regular layer. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and clear that. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna use my brush tool. So let's hit B for the brush tool, and I'm gonna simply grab this color here and start painting right in this area with a regular brush tool, okay? Now with this brush tool, right now I'm just kind of painting, okay? It looks like nothing fancy at all. But when I clip this layer, we're gonna go to layer and then down here to create a clipping mask, boom. Now we can see this layer is only showing up where the underlying layer is visible, right? And the cool thing is because I'm just painting the same color as the hair, it's getting rid of any fringing issues that I have, okay? As you can see, I'm literally just painting this in and it's completely taking care of all those fringing issues all the way around the edge. Look at this, how perfect is that? It's just, it's like magic. Now the cool thing is this layer, I can unclip it, okay? So you can go to layer, you can go to create clipping mask, boop, there it is. It's only visible now where this underlying layer is visible, okay? So just where the hair is. or I can go to layer and then release clipping mask, and then it just looks normal, okay? So create or release clipping mask. That's all it is. It's just a clipping mask that's making this black, only visible where our subject is visible. This is such a cool technique. Okay, now let's go ahead and paint right here over top of our subject's hair, and you're gonna see we have a perfect cutout. All right, I'd love to know in the chat, has anyone seen this before? This is such a cool technique. If you're cutting anything out from the background, this is like just an amazing way to make sure you get all of the detail. There we go. Perfect. Even with all these little fringing hair details, things like this. Fantastic. All right, this is looking really good. So getting all this hair detail back, even down over here, I can make sure that this hair detail looks absolutely perfect. Fantastic. And now with the layer mask, I'm just gonna clean this mask up just a little bit, and I'm just gonna use the brush tool to do this. There we go, just cleaning our layer mask up just a little bit. And you're gonna see that, you know, very shortly, we're just gonna have an absolutely perfect cutout of our subject. Okay, now if you, like I painted over her ear on accident a little bit here, just erase that away with that black brush and you're good to go. And you can even paint in like skin color here and things like that. It's gonna make sure it looks absolutely perfect. Now this area, for me, is just a little bit messy. So what I'm gonna do, like my preferred, is I'm just gonna kind of layer mask this away. There we go. I'm just painting black here on my layer mask because this area was just a little bit messy, honestly. It didn't look that great. So what we're gonna do is just kind of use our layer mask to paint that away. There we go. Let's just make our brush a little bit bigger. Fantastic, and kind of have it end right over there. Okay, that's looking much better. Fantastic. All right, that's looking great. And now we're gonna use this exact same technique with our clipping mask, okay? We're gonna use the exact same technique with the clipping mask to now, I'm gonna hit B for my brush tool. I'm literally just gonna paint some skin color out there towards the edge. So you can see here how it had some hair color before. I'm gonna hit B for the brush tool and we're just gonna grab some skin color and just paint right towards the edge there, okay? So I'm literally just like kind of painting new skin on, and I'm gonna grab this color here and we're gonna paint that shirt back on there, okay? Fantastic, look how nice that looks. There we go. So we're just painting a new shirt and kind of painting new skin, and there we go. I'm doing a little bit of a fast job here because, you know, we have a lot to cover today in our live broadcast. But here we can see basically I'm just painting this area in, and because I'm on a clipping mask, I'm able to make sure that it only shows up exactly where my subject is showing up and making sure that it looks really good. There we go. Of course, you could use AI to go ahead and fill this in too. But in this case, like literally what we're doing is just using our brush tool and painting with a clipping mask. And this is what's gonna make sure this effect looks really good. All right, there we go. This looks fantastic. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of paint this away here as well, because I want to make sure that it looks really good. There we go. Let's just kind of fade that out there also, because it wasn't capturing a ton of hair detail there. There we go. But here we can see this is just such an amazing way to make sure we have a perfect cutout with our subject. Look at that. Looks really good. There we go. Just kind of clean this up. So here is the before. Let's just go ahead and zoom in and show you this before. So this is our subject cut out before, and then here we're gonna go ahead and turn this on and put the after. So we're just gonna be able to see this before and after. This is a fantastic way. Anytime you've cut out your subject, you can just perfectly put them on any color background you'd like. Alrighty. Guys, this is so much fun. I really appreciate you joining us, and thanks so much for being in the live chat. I'm so excited to be interacting with you. Let us know any comments you have, and we can watch you. I'll answer those here on this live event, and we are going to be rebroadcasting this as well, so you can watch this at a later date, and you can also download and follow along with these sample images. Alrighty. So the next subject we're going to get into, we're going to show you another use for clipping masks. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that in Photoshop now. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and move into our next image. What we're going to do is bring in our subject here. There we go. We bring in our subject, and then I have this slogan that I want to put right behind our subject, okay? So we're just going to go ahead and make this a bit bigger. We have this live in the moment slogan. There we go. And then I have this image of flowers. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and make this a little bit larger too. Okay, so we're working with a few different assets here. Now, first thing I want to do is I want to take this slogan and cut it out of its background. And you can see it's a smart object. Now, we already know how to do a smart object, right? All we have to do is double click here, okay? I can hit Control Command L for our levels. We want to make sure we go to black as our text color and white, pure white background. This is going to help us select this. So let's go to select and then down here to color range. Okay, we're gonna make sure we select the text just like that, hit okay. All right, and then on a new layer, let's just go ahead and fill this, and I'm just gonna use the same color as before because we're, just keeping everything nice and similar here. So let's go ahead and save this out. There we go, fantastic. Let's go ahead and save this out. All right, I'm just gonna bring this right back over there, okay, and hit F and go ahead and make this a little bit larger. So let's go ahead and make this a little bit larger. There we go. And now this live in the moment, I kind of want to do a similar thing to what we did before, which I want to take this live in the moment and I want to put this behind our subject. So pretty similar from before. We're going to click on our background and go over here where it says select subject. So let's go ahead and select our subject. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and click on our layer. And then I'm going to click on our layer mask icon. Now, it did the opposite of what we want with the layer mask, no big deal. And all we have to do is hit Control Command I to invert. There we go. And then we're gonna just make sure we click on our words and move this around so we can see live in the moment. Look how good that's looking. Okay, so now with this live in the moment, remember before we did like a strokes and layer effects and things like that, which was really cool, but now I have this graphic of flowers, okay? What if I want to make this graphic of flowers show how to basically show up where this text is? So that's another great use of clipping masks. Okay, so check this out. Here where we have this flowers, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to layer, we're gonna go down to create clipping mask. So layer and create clipping mask, and now check this out. These flowers are only visible. Let's just go ahead and make that a little bit larger. These flowers are now only visible where this text is visible, okay? So we have our flowers, and I can unclip that, and you can see it's just a regular picture of flowers, and you can do this with any type of photograph or graphic, okay? Now we have these regular flowers, and I clip them, and they're only gonna be visible where my text is visible. How cool is that? So unclipped, it's just a regular graphic of flowers. Clip this again, and these flowers are only showing up where this text is. Now, let's say we want to just go ahead and make this a little bit more, like we want to have this stand out a little bit more, okay? What we're going to do is go to layer, and we're going to go down to where it says new adjustment layer right over here. And I'm going to go to where it says color balance, okay? So layer, new adjustment layer, and over to color balance and hit okay. Now, right now, this color balance is just on top of everything, right? So if I go ahead and change some colors in the color balance, you can see I'm gonna go pretty strong with this. It's gonna change everything because it's literally just on top of everything. It's on top of all of these layers, and it's gonna affect everything beneath it. But just like we added the flowers, let's make this invisible. Just like we added the flowers as a clipping mask to the text, you can do that here with this color balance. So this color balance adjustment layer, we're gonna do the same exact thing. I can go to layer, down here to create clipping mask. Look at that. So now we can see this flowers are clipped to the text, but also this color balance is clipped to the text. So you can see I can do this with as many layers as I want, and I can clip them all back down to a single layer. So let's go ahead and back here to our color balance and start adjusting it. Maybe something that's gonna work a little bit better with this image. I can go to my shadow color. Maybe we're gonna add some like blues and a little bit of green. I want to, you know, see if I can kind of match the colors of our subject. But look at that, we have these cool flowers here in the background, and I can kind of adjust these highlights. This is looking kind of fun here at working with these different colors. There we go. Could add some yellow into the highlights or some nice light blues. I really like that. I think it's just such a nice effect. Now, again, maybe I want to add a little bit of a stroke just so we can see it. So we're going to go back to our text. Let's go over here. We're going to go to layer. We're going to go down to where it says layer style. Okay, there we go, layer style. And we're going to go to where it says stroke. Fantastic. So layer, layer style, and then stroke. Okay, check this out. Now with our stroke, let's go ahead and just bring this back. You can make this any color that you want. Keep in mind, I'm over here where it says stroke over here. Your color, I can just click there. And of course I can choose a color here in my color picker, but I can also use this color picker here on my document. So I'm just gonna choose this like white color here that's from my document. Okay, and then we talked about this earlier, but if you ever put a stroke on a layer that has a layer mask, you're gonna get a weird little effect just like this. So what you wanna do is make sure you go to your blending options, and over here there's an option that says layer mask hides effect. Go ahead and click that, and then look at this. We have a perfect layer mask. See, unchecked, you're gonna have a layer mask where you're still gonna have a stroke around the layer mask, and it's not gonna look that great. You wanna make sure layer mask hides effects is turned on, and look at this, it's perfect. Fantastic. So now I can move these things around if I want to. I can move my text if I want to. Okay, you can put this wherever I want. I can still move our flowers wherever. I can scale this however I want. And we have a really beautiful image that we have our text with a layer mask. Okay, and then we have 2 layers clipped to this. And of course I can turn these off and on at any time. So I can turn those flowers off and on, and I can turn that color balance off and on at any time. All right, there we go. Super excited, guys. I'm very happy about how this is turning out. Okay, well, the next thing we're gonna show you is layer masks. So let's go ahead and move in. Let's go ahead and talk about layer masks. So this example, we're gonna be cutting our subject out of their background, and then we're gonna be putting like a light effect behind them and another light effect in front of them. And we're gonna be doing that with layer masks. It's a pretty simple effect, but you're gonna see it looks really good. All right, let's go ahead and show you how to do it in Photoshop. So here we are back in Photoshop. We're gonna go ahead and bring all 3 of these images into Photoshop. So I'm just clicking and dragging them right now. Okay, so we have our subject here. Subject looks really good. And we have a couple of these layers, okay? A couple of these layers, there we go. Let's just go ahead and bring this right over there. And then sometimes, by the way, if you're not sure, like I have a lot of windows open here in Photoshop, and I'm like not always sure what, like, you know, it's like a little bit hard to navigate through all of them sometimes. So there's a few things that you can do. You can go to window up at the very top, and then you'll actually have like a drop down window here at the very bottom. You can see this is all your layers right here. Okay, so if you just need to turn any of them on, you can just go ahead and click on it, and it's going to just show you your layer. That way, if you have like a bunch of stuff open in Photoshop, it's a lot easier to find what you need. All right, let's go ahead and bring that in, and I'm gonna click on F for full screen. Just wanted to share that with you. Okay. Now, the first thing we're gonna do is I like this lighting effect. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit larger. And my subject here looks really cool, like awesome photograph, great portrait already, but I want some more lighting effects around my subject. Okay, so what we're gonna do is click here on our background. I'm gonna go to select subject. There we go. And now I can go ahead and click on my layer mask. And because my subject has a layer mask already, I can just bring them right above this background and then turn the background on, and then all of a sudden they're on this new background. How cool is that? Now with this background, I can do all kinds of stuff with it. I can hit Control Command T for scale. We can just make it larger or smaller, okay? I can flip this. I can flip this horizontally. I can flip this vertically, anything that I want to make sure that it looks really good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and flip it vertically. So this kind of like light color here kind of like works a little bit better with my subject. And let's go ahead and hit enter there. And that looks fantastic. So we can see I can hold shift and click on my layer mask, and that's gonna show us the before and the after with the layer mask. Okay, looking really good. And now I can kind of work on this layer to make it feel a little bit like the before image. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make this image just a little bit darker. We're gonna go to layer, and then we're gonna go down to where it says new adjustment layer, and we're gonna go to curves. There we go. So with this curves adjustment layer, we're just gonna make it a little bit darker. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I want this like this bluish color. I want it to actually match a little bit better to this green color that we have on our subject. So it looks like that blue color is actually coloring my subject. So what I'm gonna do is I need a way to target that blue color, and we're gonna use a hue saturation adjustment layer to do that. So let's go to layer. We're gonna go down to new adjustment layer, and we're gonna go over to hue/saturation. Okay, let's hit okay there. Now with hue saturation, what I can do is, see, I have all these colors where it says master. I can click that and I can go to all these different colors. And I'm just gonna go to my blues to start with. But check this out, I can actually use this eyedropper here and target the blues that I want. So I can actually click on the blues that I want, and then you can see it's targeting just the blues. I can take where it says hue, I can take my hue slider, and I can just bring this to the left or the right. Look at that, and I'm bringing it over. There we go. I'm just gonna make this even bigger so it's affecting even more there. Fantastic. All right, so I'm bringing my hue slider over, and I'm just kind of pushing this a little bit more to that green, that cyan color. Look at that. And it's gonna make it look a little bit more like our subject is actually being lit by that color in the background. So I'll just turn that off and on real quick. There we go. And you can see I'm kind of changing those blue colors to be a little bit more cyan, which looks really, really well. All right, now let's go ahead. I'm gonna make a duplicate of this curves adjustment layer. There we go. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit darker. And then I'm gonna use my marquee tool to make a selection right here in the middle of our image, okay? So I'm on my curves adjustment layer. Now here's another cool thing you can do with layer masks is you can hide or show parts of your adjustment layers. Like this curves adjustment layer is making everything darker, right? But what about if I only wanna make the edges darker? So what we're gonna do is click on the layer mask. And now that I have a selection, I'm gonna go to edit. We're gonna go down here to fill, and we're gonna go ahead and fill this with black. All right, fill that with black there, and you're gonna see now it's only gonna make the edges darker, okay? Just the edges are darker. And then here on the layer mask, all I have to do, like, it's pretty obvious, right? Like I just made a selection and then filled it with black, so we have a hard edge. But all I have to do is go to filter, we're gonna go to blur, and I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur. There we go. We'll just add a Gaussian blur, and you're gonna see my edge gets nice and blurry, and it's a really nice effect that we can use there, just like that. Okay, now I'm gonna actually do the opposite, okay? We're just gonna make this effect a little bit brighter on the inside of our subject, okay? So this curves adjustment layer is getting a bit brighter, but this time, okay, we're gonna hit Control or Command I to invert that, okay? And then I'm gonna make a selection on the inside. There we go. We'll go to edit, down here to fill, and then we're gonna choose to fill this with white. There we go. And then let's just do a blur as well. So filter, and we're gonna go to blur, and I'm gonna go to Gaussian blur. Okay, just like we did before. So I basically have two curves adjustment layers here, okay? One of them is making the inside bright, and one of them making the outside dark. Because I kind of wanted to, if I hold shift and click on the layer mask for the original, I kind of wanted to get the lighting to match more or less to this original, where it had bright on the inside and dark on the outside. So I kind of wanted to do that with my adjustment layers. Okay, now I think this is looking really good, but it needs another light effect to really look good. So we're just gonna add this here, okay? We're gonna add this other image. Let's go ahead and hit Control or Command T and scale this up. Fantastic. And now, really easy to add this light effect because I have this bright color on a dark background. All I have to do is use my layer blend mode. So I'm gonna go from normal, we're gonna go down here to screen, and there we go. Now I have this effect right over top of my subject, and I feel like everything is really coming together now. Now, because I used a screen blend mode on this, what we're gonna do is I wanna make the darks just a little bit darker so I can see through them a little bit better. So let's make this layer a smart object. That way, when I use my levels adjustment, I can affect that at any time. I can change that levels at any time. Okay, so layer 2, we're just gonna go to layer, down here to Smart Objects, and we're gonna go to Convert to a Smart Object. Okay, we can see the Smart Object icon there. And if I hit Controller Command L for our levels, now we can see I'm gonna just take my midpoint. We're just gonna bring that to the right a little bit. And you can see it's a little bit more contrast, and I can see through the background a little bit more. That looks great. And I can turn this off and on to show you the before and the after. It basically just makes the background a little bit less visible. All right, how cool is that? So let's go ahead and make that a little bit larger, and we can see, I don't want it covering up my subject too much, but this is a really cool effect that we were able to do. How awesome is this image, right? Like, it was already really cool, but basically, like, this is what we started with, you know, our subject on this background, and just using layer masks and some blend modes, I was able to get this really cool effect where it looks like our subject is kind of like in this light effect. So if you've taken studio portraits, if you've taken any type of images and you're like, I want to make it a little more interesting, you can find these lighting effects on stock image websites and things like that. And it's just a really great way to make this stuff a little bit more interesting. And as you can see, it's super easy to do. So cutting out our subject, matching the color of light, and then adding this light effect, I really, really like this. All right, cool. Well, we are just trotting along. We got about 15 minutes left. The next thing we want to show you, let's go ahead and show you a very quick technique with adjustment layers. We have this subject here on this escalator. Now, what I want to do is I want to select the color range of this, like of these light bars here, and I want to add an adjustment layer to kind of like give that a different color of a glow. So I want it to glow, but I want to choose the color of that glow. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to our background layer. We're gonna go to select, and we're gonna go down to where it says color range. So select color range, and then we're just gonna use our little eyedropper. Here where it says selection preview, I'm gonna put that on none so I can see what I'm doing a little bit more. And I'm gonna use my eyedropper tool. We're just gonna click on these light levels there. And then here you can see basically what's selected are the light levels. Okay, so selected those light levels, and we're gonna go ahead and bring our fuzziness all the way up and hit okay. So now all these light levels are selected, which is gonna look really good when I go ahead and use my adjustment layers. So the great thing with adjustment layers is that you can turn them off and on at any time. You can use layer masks, and you can change those properties at any time as well. So because I already have this selection active, what I'm gonna do is create an adjustment layer, and it's gonna load this selection into that adjustment layer. All right, so check this out. We're just gonna go to layer, down to new adjustment layer, and I'm gonna go over to where it says color balance. So layer, new adjustment layer, and over to color balance, and we're just gonna hit okay. Now with our color balance, you can see we have our color balance adjustment layer, and it already automatically brought in that selection that we made into the layer mask. So it's looking really good. So let's go ahead and double click on the color balance, and now I can start to work with my colors. So anything that I want to do here, I can go ahead and start changing these colors in the image, and it's going to do that by keeping in mind, let's go ahead and grab our highlight color, by keeping in mind exactly what we had selected before. I think this is looking really, really cool. So as I go through here, I can change these colors and do literally anything that I want. Let's go ahead and grab our shadow color. There we go. I like this nice deep red, kind of bit of a magenta color. This is looking really cool. So I'm kind of enhancing the light that was already there by working with my shadows, my midtones, and my highlights of this color. I kind of like, yeah, I like this like nice, interesting magenta color that we're working with here. This is really cool. All right, let's go ahead and add a bit more red and a little bit more blue. So with this adjustment layer, just turning this off and on, you can see I'm able to completely change the lighting of this photo. First, I made a selection of the light, and now we're able to adjust that light, which is so, so cool. All right, a very quick example, but I just wanted to show you how that worked. Okay, the last thing we're gonna show you how to do is what's called a placed linked smart object. So let's go ahead and bring in our images for placed linked real quick. We're just gonna go ahead and click and drag those into Photoshop, okay? There we go, fantastic. So I'm gonna click and drag these into Photoshop, and we're basically gonna create a billboard here. Okay, so by creating our billboard, what I wanna do is I'm gonna start by making a PSD here. So we're gonna start by bringing these two images together. So let's go ahead and use our move tool, and I'm gonna click and drag one like this portrait over top of this perfume. Let's click on F for full screen so we see just, make things a little more simple. Okay, so we have our subject over top of the perfume. What I'm gonna do is change our blend mode. We're gonna try a few different blend modes till we get something that we like. Okay, there we go. And I kind of like this darker color. It looks really cool. And we can kind of like bring these two ads together in a way. So let's go ahead and bring that in. And I'm gonna go ahead and lower my opacity just a little bit. And we can see by changing our different blend modes, I can just get these to go and blend in really different, interesting ways. I like this overlay too. So let's go ahead and lower this down. Okay, so we have a portrait and a picture of perfume, just really, really nice and simple. Now, what I wanna do is I actually wanna place this inside of the billboard that we had, right? So let's go ahead and close this out. So we have this billboard image that we have. I wanna place this image, this advertisement basically that we're making inside of this billboard. So let's go ahead and save this. I'm gonna hit save as, okay? And now with save as, we're just gonna go ahead and save this as place linked. There we go. And then now that it's saved as a Photoshop document, I can place it into this advertisement really easily. So what we're gonna do is go to File, and then down here to Place Linked. There we go, Place Linked. And then I'm just gonna choose this, there we go, from the file that I literally just made. So I save this Place Linked, it's a Photoshop document. I'm gonna hit Place, and there we go. So I'm placing a Photoshop document inside of another Photoshop document at this point. Now let's go ahead and scale this up. I'm gonna hold Control or Command and kind of bring this down here and hold Control or Command, and we're gonna actually add perspective to this as well. So as we're adding this perspective, I can get it in the exact right place, which looks really good. Okay, now let's go ahead and do a layer mask on this. I'm gonna just click on my background layer, okay? We're gonna go to our magic wand tool. Okay, let's bring our tolerance all the way up to 100, and I'm gonna click here on this map, basically just the background, making it a selection. And then with my place linked, I'm gonna go ahead and click on our layer mask. Okay, so there we go. I was able to place that inside this billboard with perspective, which looks really good. Now, this cool thing about place linked is, check this out. Because I placed my link smart object, if I double click on this, I'm back into this smart object. So if I wanna add some text, okay, this is, I'll say like, bring out the sun. Okay, because this is like, it's an ad for this perfume or whatever that's called Sun. So I'm just saying like bring out the sun. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit larger. There we go. And I'll just kind of put it right there on the very top. Now the cool thing about this is if I save this, bring out the sun, okay? If I save this, it automatically updates here into this object. So I basically just placed the PSD inside of this other PSD, and I can go ahead and move this. So let's say I want to move this text right down here, okay? And it's gonna automatically update here in this image, and you can see it's in the proper perspective too. So maybe I just want to bring this down a little bit. So let's just go ahead and push that right down a little bit. And then, let's go ahead and save that and close it out. It's gonna be perfectly right in there. And then right over here, I can still add, I can go to Layer, down here to Layer Effects, Layer Style. We're gonna go down to where it says Stroke, and we're gonna put a stroke on this as well. Okay, well, we're gonna do that right inside of here, okay? So let's go to double click, and we'll go to Layer, down here to Layer Style. All right, and we're gonna go to Stroke. Fantastic. And then I can put the stroke, we're just gonna do this like dark, there we go, like that, and bring this really, really nice and small. All right, so when I save this, it's gonna automatically update right here into this document. So we started out with smart objects, and we went all the way down to place link. So it's, as you can see, there's multiple different ways of placing like a Photoshop document inside of another Photoshop document. So if you start with a regular layer in Photoshop and you convert that into a smart object, it's basically like putting a Photoshop document inside another Photoshop document. But if you have an existing Photoshop document that you want to place, then you put place linked, and then any type of update you make with your existing Photoshop document is automatically going to update inside of your final object. How cool is that? Okay, now the last thing we're gonna show you is just a really cool effect. I wanna make it look like there's a little bit of a reflection here. So I'm gonna go to my background layer, okay? I'm gonna make a selection here. We're just gonna use our marquee tool to make a selection there. And I'm gonna hit Control-Command-J to duplicate just this area from my background layer, okay? Now with this layer, we're gonna hit Control-Command-T. I'm gonna right click and we're gonna go down to where it says flip horizontal. So we're just gonna flip this around horizontally. So this is all what we've done now is basically taken a duplicate of the right side of my background image, okay? I've flipped it horizontally. Now let's go ahead and have this billboard be visible. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna place this over top of the billboard. There we go. I'm gonna make this a clipping mask just like we've shown earlier, and I'm gonna change my blend mode. We're gonna go to a blend mode that just kind of blends these modes together. So we're gonna go to a screen blend mode, okay? So you're seeing some of the reflection of the background. Let's go ahead and turn that background visible. And basically all I have to do here is lower the opacity, and here we have a reflection of this environment on top of this billboard. So we completely made this advertisement here, okay? We're bringing this reflection back on there. And if we say, you know what, this is where it says bring out the sun, maybe I'm like, I don't really like that much. We can just turn that off, save it, and then we're back to this original document, okay? Or if we wanna change our composition, we can do that super, super easily, okay? All we have to do, there we go, is just go ahead and scale this and bring it down a little bit. There we are. And we can see I can change this composition at any time. Let's go ahead and scale that and bring it down and hit enter, save that, and it's gonna automatically adjust into our final with this little reflection added at the very end. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for watching our live stream, everyone. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much. All the questions have been fantastic. It's really nice getting to join you, and I really appreciate everyone watching. Don't forget, we're doing a live stream tomorrow from the exact same time as well. So join us there, where we're gonna be covering more artificial intelligence, some new AI tools in Photoshop. And of course, you can find us always here on YouTube under Phlearn.com. Thank you so much, and I will Phlearn you later. Bye, everyone.